If you're here today, it's probably because you want to level up your watercolor beginner game. And today we're talking about a very specific watercolor exercise that's going to do just that. It's going to help you tune your eye to different shifts in value. It's called a value study. If you've never done it, it's going to be quite fun. We're going to use some beautiful florals. I'm going to use a navy color today. And I promise you, this is going to put a lot of effort into you creating that improvement that you're looking for. So let's get to painting. Alrighty. We're spraying down the palette. Really, we don't need to spray much because we're just using one color today. And I'm not worried if some of these other colors get mixed into the original color because we're just going to go with all of it. So we've got our Meeden watercolor paper. This is a 7x10 sheet. It's linked below if you want to check it out. Beautiful cotton paper, but honestly, use the paper that you have. Using what you have is better than having to scramble and find something you don't. But if you're interested, this is very nice paper. I like to use a 6 or 8 and then a 12. So we're going to start with the 12 round and see how far we go. Just making sure my brush is clean, and we're using one color. I'm just going to take my paper towel and clean this a little bit just to have, just to be fair. Most of the color is gone, but we don't do perfectionism on this channel, so we're just going to do the best we can. So if you want to create amazing color value, then you're wanting to make sure that you have light, medium, and dark values. If we're just using one color, we've got to get creative, right? So the first color, the first value, we've got really, really runny paint, a lot of water, a little bit of pigment, and I'm going to start blocking out some of those larger shapes that I'm seeing here in my reference. And so, I'm just not worrying too much about specific things now that I have to focus on just kind of putting in those basic shapes and knowing that the colors are all going to be the same. It sort of takes some pressure off, I think, for me at least, because I don't have to make a lot of decisions. So that's kind of nice. This is a kind of a parrot tulip that's open. It just looks a little funky. And you can do these really beautiful, I can even go a little bit darker now, take some more paint, add it to my puddle. Beautiful shapes, just beautiful shapes. Oh, that's pretty. Look at how much bluer this is now. Just going to go over here, just scrubbing the brush around. All right. And of course, when this is dry, we can add in other values, some darker moments over the top also. But right now I'm just, trying to make sure that we have those basic shapes in there. It's going to be quite interesting to do this painting knowing that, we're not going to be allowed to use any other colors. And that's just the trick for today. So I'm going to take a little more paint, make it darker. And we'll just start adding in some of these other floral shapes here, some side-facing tulips and such. All right. I love using a larger brush because it does help me to keep very loose. So this is a little side-facing tulip, all right? And, this is just interesting to do a value study so that you can see what your paint can do, the lightness and the darkness. I'm going to take an even darker amount now and go up here and add in some of my side-facing tulips. A lot of tulips in this vase. Just kind of going around, adding some of these in. And this is a little bit too pointy for me, so I wanted to round that out. Now it just sort of looks like a blob, but we're going to get some stems in there. All right, runny paint again, a little bit more. And if you want to change up some of the shapes, go for it. I like to encourage you guys to paint intuitively the way that you see fit. I'm going to do a really poofy flower right here. So just kind of squiggling my brush, fanning out some of those really beautiful petals. So we're creating variety with the shapes that we're using, not necessarily, having to do that interest with colors, right? Because we're not doing that today. All right, for the vase, I'm just going to start with a smaller brush, and we're going to go ahead and just create this round shape. Very simple, very sketchy, okay? Very sketchy, very simple. Take your brush, get some water on there, spread that out a little bit. We could put some designs on here if we want, but I just want to make sure that we're not getting a hard line. So you're just kind of scrubbing around. And one of the things I wanted to talk about today, because I love talking about mental health stuff on this channel, since I'm a therapist, is mindfulness. This idea that you are paying attention to the things you can see, smell, taste, touch, and hear in your life. And you won't always have all 5 senses, available to you in every moment. Like for right now, I'm not eating anything. Although I do have a tea next to me, so that would be something to taste. I'm not smelling any smells, but I am hearing some sounds, and I'm just rounding this out, by the way. If you don't like it, what you've done, you can always extend it, change the shape a little bit until you enjoy what you're seeing. And a lot of the vase is covered up on this side, so just kind of have a lot of leeway there. So very simple, some brush strokes here. How's it going? How are you feeling so far? I'm going to start by adding in stems, and I'm going to go really dark, so I'm swirling that paint. So if I am doing this, and I'm going to do some really just kind of curved stems to make it interesting. What are the things I can see? So I can see, obviously, when the paint is moving and bleeding together, I can see that. I can see the basic shapes that I've put down with my flowers. If I do any leaves, I'll be able to see that. Not sure if I'm doing leaves right now. I do want to add a little bit more in here, and I'm letting this dry. While things are still wet here, I'm going to draw out, putting a little bit of paint right there, just to ground this vase. Okay? But I'm hearing the brush. I don't know if you can hear that. Scratching on the paper. I can hear noises outside. I can see the sun that's poking in through the blinds that's blinding me. I'm going to put in a second layer. I'm going to dry this real quick, and we'll continue the conversation. Okay, everything is dry. And now we're going to start adding in some darker values. We can also add in some smaller blooms as well, but I'm still sticking with this large brush. I really like it. I'm going to go dark right now for some of these other pieces I'm putting in. And I'm just going to put in some little tiny flowers. See, I'm just smooshing down some smaller ones, so the value is quite intense. And I like a nice tight bouquet. But as I'm doing this, I'm seeing the beautiful colors. They're really making my eyes happy. Beautiful colors, sorry, the beautiful values, of this color. And it's amazing what you can do with just one color value. Or just one color. My words are hard to get out today. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes, I don't know if you experience that. I certainly do. I'm going to put some in here too. And so, now I'm really focusing on how to create that depth, versus like what color is going to look here? What's look good here? What's going to capture people's eyeballs? What are they wanting to see? It's like, okay, how can I create interest now? I have to feel a little bit, feel it out a little bit. I have to work a little bit harder, but it's a different way. So this is that value study that's really helpful to do as an artist. Okay, so I've got my brush here. It's ready to add in some darker moments. So grabbing some pink, gonna dab my brush, and I'm just going to be mindful of, kind of putting in these little extra pieces, these shadowy parts, these moments, and just outlining right now, because these types of flowers, these parrot tulips, they have these beautiful, just ruffly edges. So now I'm going to take the clean, damp brush here, clean it, dab it to make it damp, and I'm going to blend out and just do little circle motions, blend out some of that color. And I don't want the harsh line. I can hear that sound again. It's beautiful. So being mindful, it helps us to get ourselves like out of our own heads. Just focusing on what's in front of us. We spend so much time, let's do that over here, just worrying about life or being super involved in what we need to get done. We don't spend a lot of time being in the moment, in the present, on what's going well now. And sometimes we just need to think about what we're experiencing and seeing. And that's enough reprieve to give our brain a little break. Otherwise, often we're going to be just stuck in our own problems and worrying about that. And there's just too much in life to worry about to have to be doing that. So that's my encouragement to you. Get some darker value here. Let's do some more of that, just adding in some dark. I'm actually going to probably keep some of it dark. I like that look right now. I might go back after I've blended and add in some more of this back in. So this is all about, figuring out the technique that you're liking to do, that's speaking to your mind, to your heart, and then going with it. A little bit right there too. All right, I'm going to take that same brush and I'm just going to add in a little bit. So funny because the sun came out, so I had to put the blind down, and now it's raining. It's literally raining, which is great because we need it, and now it's dark. So lighting is just how it is. See how I'm just adding in some little kind of sketchy lines, just playing with this paint. The value shifts are beautiful. Over here to the side of the brush, just getting a little bit of darkness. And I hope you're doing this with a smile, because this is making me happy today. Just a little bit of paint, a little bit of paint. So we all need a little reprieve or a big reprieve sometimes in our lives. And I can't really do a value shift here, but that's fine. I wanted it to be dark on purpose because I think that that's fun just to have that there. I like the idea of adding in maybe some little designs. So I'm going to just do a few little flower shapes here and there. And then, some bigger ones too. Some tinies. So the things you can hear, the things you can see, the things you can feel. I can feel the paper right here. It's really rough and makes that beautiful noise. The feeling of the paintbrush in my hand and what that does, it's very smooth. And then this is very thin. So just being aware of what that feels like takes my mind off of any stressors that are going on in my head. I'm actually going to take a little bit more of this darker one here and darken up here, adding some more texture for this painting. This one is pretty dry. I do want to add a center for this little guy, but I also want to do some thicker marks, but with this much lighter value. And I'm just going to put some right here just to darken up this petal a little bit right there. So you can see I'm just kind of, really lightly adding things in. And, sometimes you put something down and then you think, okay, that wasn't what I was hoping for. And so you want to make some changes. And this would be a good time to do that. Just going to put in some little lines here, more expressive. So we have the values that we put in here, but then we're adding something over the top just to make it more fun and interesting. And then I will dry this real quick. Actually, let's do a little splatter. So our smaller brush, grabbing some watery paint, and then just tapping it around to create some magic. All right, I'm going to dry this and then we'll do our centers. Okay, last but not least, maybe not last because I have another idea. I actually want to go in here with this really light value and just kind of paint somewhat in between everything to give another texture to the vase. leaving some white space. So this is a very, loose vase painting. I'm not trying to paint every single thing. And then, making sure that it's still kind of rounded here. All right, just very simple. Now I'm going to take that smaller brush. We're going to go really, dried up dark value. So as dark as I can go where it's still spreadable. Dab. And then we're just going to do some little squiggly lines for the stamen. A little bit of a center here. And then squiggly lines. And look at now, I'm using a different value, even darker than most of what I've used already. Dabbing, don't have a puddle. So a little circle, and then again, the stamen, we're just gonna go upside down, like that. Little dots. Just really simple, okay? Nothing too complex, nothing too fancy. So take a look at your painting and see if there's anything else that you would like to add. I'm just gonna outline this a little bit, like I was saying I was thinking of doing, just on some of these spaces here. But this is your painting and you need to paint it exactly how you feel and not worry about, how I'm doing it and how you think it should be. All right, so this is it, guys. I will encourage you guys to try another value study, see how it feels. Just do a little anchor point here for these guys. And, you could try landscape, you could try more florals, but also try to be mindful of the things you can see, smell, taste, touch, and hear, not just in your painting, but in your life in general. I promise it really does make a difference when we tune into life. A little bit of a center here. Tune into life about what we're experiencing and not just thinking about the past or being afraid of the future, guys. All right, you guys, we did our value study. I hope you enjoyed that. That was a fun, calming experience for you. Go ahead and try it with different objects, different structures, different colors, and see if it helps to just tune your eye to those value shifts and changes, because if you do those lights, those mediums and darks, gosh, guys, you're on the right track for getting that intense contrast and depth that we're always looking for in our watercolor paintings and journeys. I want to let you guys know that I usually have some free watercolor workshops online linked below. They tend to be on Monday, so if there's a link there, sign up. I'd love to have you over there. If you're not sure what to paint next, then click the link down here below. A video that I did on a watercolor technique I wish I had learned 5,000 hours ago, and I'm telling you now. Happy painting and happy mental health to you.